We are all familiar with the expression, "Don't shoot the messenger," and likely have experienced this firsthand. Although not always welcome, feedback is often the best gift we can give someone we care about. The Bible speaks quite clearly about our responsibility to give feedback if someone is making a decision that may be harmful. Join Dr. Townsend as he teaches us how to know when to give feedback and how to present our message so that it will be better received.
Hi everybody, it's John Townsend and welcome to Solutions, where we talk about answers to whatever you struggle with or want to see better results in all the areas of life. So I hope this is helpful to you. I want to talk about an experience I had to kind of set the stage for this, where I was in my grad training. One of my courses had to do with public speaking. Actually, it was in seminary, and it was called homiletics. And homiletics are when you learn how to preach, speak, and this sort of thing. So we're in this class, and we had to give a speech, I don't know, maybe 7 minutes, a little small thing, in front of the class, and then the class tears it apart with video, and we analyze it, and everybody gets better. It's good training. And we're all a little bit nervous because, you like your friends, and what if they say something that says, you're horrible and you'll never speak again? Maybe you need to be a librarian or whatever. So it kind of, it's a little bit of anxiety. But we're enjoying it. We're learning a lot from it. And one of the guys, a good friend of mine, got up and did his talk. I forget what it was on. And then it was time for feedback. And somebody said, well, your topic wasn't clear that you began with. And he said, well, that was because I want to kind of set a stage. Next person raised it, and everybody went, okay. Next person raised their hand and said, the illustration you gave didn't really kind of tie in with that second point. He said, well, the reason for that was because I was trying to jockey it over here. Everybody went, okay. Third person said, didn't feel like a really strong finish, like he kind of dropped off. And he said, well, you see, that was because I'm trying to give some questions in the reader's mind or in the listener's minds and not kind of tell them what to do. And I started kind of feeling weird, like, I don't think this is going the way it should. So I raised my hand and I said, excuse me, this feels strange to me, like we're supposed to be giving each other feedback, and it sounds like you're taking this as questions about why you did what you did, not as feedback that you might need help on this. And the room got kind of quiet, like, is it going to hurt his feelings? But he's like a real great guy, and he went, you could kind of see him like struggling with the idea, and then he went, oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then we all kind of had a laugh, and we went on. And then he took the feedback. But I'll never forget it because I thought it really pointed out how we all have a tendency to not really be open to information we need for various reasons. He had no deep, dark secrets. He was just – actually, it's kind of funny. He'd come from the business environment, sold his business, and went to seminary. So he was kind of used to kind of positioning things. And it was just kind of where he come from in life. But it's funny. After that, he said, guys, I really need your advice. Tell me if I'm boring or I'm a snoozer or I don't have good content or I don't understand what the Bible's saying here. I'm not clear. And it was a wonderful guy, wonderful time. He's a good guy. Anyway, the point is, we're calling this talk, Don't Shoot the Messenger. Now, if you see somebody who's struggling in life and maybe they're getting ready to make a total relational, mistake, they're getting a divorce and you want to help stop it, or they're getting ready to make a bad financial move, or they're repeating a problem, or something's going wrong with their kids, but you're seeing, the future. But how do you give advice to somebody and not get beat up in the process? Shooting the messenger means that instead of them responding to the reality and perceptions and truth you have, they're sort of like well, you're a bad guy for saying this, you're a bad person for saying this, and you get slammed and resented, and who wants that? Yet the Bible tells us over and over and over again that we need to be telling each other things. Now, I've done another solutions talk about when not to give advice, so these are sort of bookended about this different views on the same issue. But one of the scariest passages in the whole Bible about this, actually it's what's called a parallel passage, and it's in Ezekiel 3, and it's in Ezekiel 33. And it says, if you warn the wicked man of his ways, and we all can be wicked, right? Makes stupid decisions, and he does not change his ways, if he dies in his sin or his mistakes or his failures, his blood is not on your hands. But if you fail to warn him of his ways and he dies, his blood is on your hands. Now, whatever that means, it means we have a duty to warn each other. We have a duty to tell each other, I care about you. I don't want your life to be bad. I want your life to be good. And it's good for you and it's good for me. So, how do you know? Because one thing that's true about people, advice and people's responses and reactions to advice are very, very telling about who they are. Now, if you're the kind of person that seeks after advice, that's a good sign. That's generally a sign that you're after truth and you're after change, and you don't care if it feels bad because you want to be a growing person. There are sometimes when you can go overboard, and it's called approval needs. I'm doing another solutions pretty soon on approval needs too, when you're kind of like always asking people, am I okay? Did I do that okay? Did I paint this the right way? And that's different. But normally it's just always better to ask other people for advice. That's a sign of good character, that you want to grow and you don't want to think you're right all the time, and you want to have good things happen. And then the resistance to advice is also telling of a person's character. The resistance to advice also tells us about each other. Some people resist advice because they don't want to look at something. They don't want to think they're wrong. They feel offended when people have another perspective. It's sort of a me-first kind of perspective. It's not very healthy. Other people resist advice because they haven't yet become fully autonomous. Autonomy is the capacity to make choices because you believe they're right, and you've gotten all the feedback and you've made this choice, and that's your choice. Sometimes in marriages, nobody's autonomous. We have to make choices because it'll keep the spouse happy, because it won't bug them, or we have to make choices to keep everybody happy, or whatever. That's not autonomy. Autonomy is I've taken everybody's perspectives in here, and I'm going to make this choice about what to do with my time and my energy and my money and my love and all that. And some people haven't finished that. They're still kind of afraid to be themselves, and so they'll push back on good advice, not because it's all about them, or not because they're selfish or self-absorbed, because they're trying to get a voice inside their head. So that's you got to give people who resist advice a little bit of a mulligan here and a gimme when obviously they've never had choices and they've always been over compliant and very dependent and all that. Okay. So why do we need advice? Well, we need advice for lots of reasons. Advice is a good thing. One is we need advice because we have the infamous blind spots. And you can't know everything about yourself. You can't know that there are parts of you that aren't working real well. I'll give an example. Do you know how your sense of humor comes across to people? I know some people whose sense of humor is really kind of mean and sarcastic and cutting and biting. I know it's coming from somewhere in that, but they're generally pretty nice people. And I had to tell a friend one time, it's like every joke is kind of like, you kind of cut at people. I mean, it's sort of like, remember Don Rickles? I mean, the guy that just kind of slaughtered people, and everything was, you sort of laugh, but at the same time you could feel the knife going in, it was kind of bloody. And I had to tell a friend that once. He was like, no, I'm just joking. I said, well, I'm just giving you some perspective from a recipient and also one who goes to the parties and the connections and sees how it goes. But we have blind spots. The Bible says we have blind spots. Psalm 139, David says to God, search me and know me and try my anxious heart and see if there's any hurtful ways in me. So there's one reason advice is a good thing, because we don't know how we come across. We don't know the big picture of our decisions. I think we ought to be giving each other and receiving advice the rest of our lives. Nobody's ever got it totally together. But another thing is things that we are avoiding. These aren't blind spots. These are what I would call more scary things, or just buggy things. And we need advice sometimes because it's just painful and it's buggy. I'll give you a kind of a easy example. In my small group, one of the guys is professional. He's been in professional sports forever and just knows more about body things and all that than I'll ever. He's forgotten more than I'll ever know, right? And so I was working on my workout routine and trying to, stay in shape and be a long-term and all that. And I thought, why am I trying to make this stuff up? This guy, is a close friend and he knows everything. So I said, do you want to start having a weekly accountability call where I'll tell you like the habits that I want to have? I have a bunch of habits that I try to do every day involving relationships and my goals in life and physical things and spiritual things, emotional things. I said, can I just go over my habit list with you once a week? And if you've got one, you can do it too. And he goes, I would love that. I don't do that. So he came up with his best habits and I came up with mine. And once a week, we just have because we both travel a lot, so we can't always be face to face. And we go over the habits and we pray for each other. It's a really good time. I noticed such a change in myself when I knew that, because I can blow off a workout. I can blow off a workout easy. If I'm traveling, I'm tired, I had a big dinner, I've been writing a book, I've been speaking or whatever. I've got great excuses. I could write a book on excuses. That's why not to work out. Hey, that's a pretty good book title. The best reasons not to work out. Would that be a popular book? Maybe. And so I called him the first week, and he says, okay, let me get on your list. And I was doing okay except for the workout thing. I said, I've been traveling a lot. And he goes, well, maybe you ought to, what are you doing with your travel? I said, well, I have these business dinners, and then I'm in the hotel. He says, well, cut out early from the business dinner. You can get your work done, but you got to get to bed sooner. And I went, I know that. I'm a grown-up, but it helped. But I called him the next week. So we got together for our little accountability prayer. Got down to workout. He said, how'd it go? I said, it didn't work out. Work on a book. He said, well, you're not going to be able to write a book if you, aren't staying in shape. Third week, I knew what he would say. So I worked out every day. And then I called him and I went, hey, I'm doing okay. And he goes, great. Now, it wasn't a blind spot. I was just avoiding it because it's tiring and I get lazy. But it really helped to have him give me advice. And he was saying things like, okay, this is a new start, or, structure your time so that you carry the right gym clothes in your bags. Stuff that anybody knows. But I'm telling you, just because I know it doesn't mean I'm doing it, but it helped to have that. So that's why we need those sorts of things. The 100 best reasons not to work out. I think we've got a good thing here. All right. Now, here's what happens though. I want to give you some principles on when to know when it's time to give advice. This is when you can know, should I speak up? Should I be nice? Because I think sometimes we're kind of confused on what's appropriate. So when to consider giving it. First, in your outline, it says when there's patterns that aren't working. The Bible says it's a glory to a person to overlook an offense. And that just basically means we're all going to we're going to have a problem somewhere or another. Don't worry about events unless they're, felonies. Events are just events. You scratched the car or you made this person mad or whatever. You've got this in late. That's an event, and everybody needs grace on an event. Patterns is different because patterns means there's some way of looking at life or a habit I have or something I'm not looking at that I need help at. So one of the things you might want to give advice for is when life is not working because there is a pattern. For example, life is not working. You know what? One of the studio geniuses here told me that since I'm a left-hander to start right-handed, and Michael's really helping my right hand, so that's why sometimes I reverse things. I'm trying to be a better writer. So I know that's not great, but it's better than it used to be, so thank you, Michael. Maybe they have a habit of giving away their time to people that they shouldn't be giving away their time to. Maybe they've got somebody on drugs in their family that they're just constantly trying to rescue, and their whole life and all their life and energy are going into rescuing that person. Or maybe that's hard for them to reach out. Or maybe they're making bad financial decisions. Or maybe they're in a pattern of blame. And life's not working. And you see that and they don't see that. If you see a pattern that's not working, you tell them something about it. That's one of the best things you could do is to say, I think there's a pattern. Now you're not preaching at them. Now you're not their guru or their mom or their dad. You're saying, I think there might be a pattern here, Sam, and how time after time you try to work it out with Sally, but you always blow up, and then she gets hurt, and then you don't do well. But I've kind of seen the blowing up, Sam, and I kind of understand what she means. That can be really, really helpful. So one is patterns that aren't working. Another is, if you see in your outline, future train wrecks. You know, there is a future, right? And nobody knows the future, but the research says is that people that think about the future and take steps, and I mean, they're mindful of how they are right now, but they're always thinking about let's see, I'm wrong side, that's past. They're always thinking about the future. They tend to do better because they prepare and they make little things, they change little things before they become big things, and they're tweaking, and that's why all the things you read about goals and the things you read about life change and your life plan, all those things are very helpful. People that don't have any goals and only live in the moment, they tend to be struggling when they get older in life because all of a sudden now the time for the plan is here and I don't have that time to change things. So you be the friend that says, I see a future train wreck. I think if things go wrong, you might be divorced. I think if things go wrong, your kids are not going to like you. I think if things go wrong, you're going to be broke. I think if things keep going this way, it could be that you're going to have a substance problem. I know you're thinking that the drinking is not that big a deal, but actually, Sally, there have been several occasions where I've been concerned about your drinking. I see a future train wreck. That can be a huge help to someone. I've had people that I've told that to who, now there have been, if you look at the bell curve level, some of them have said, well, you're mean or you don't understand, and that's fine. And I've had some people come back and say, you know what? That changed my life when you said that about that. It looks like I might end up divorced if I keep this behavior up. We went and got some help and we changed some habits. So that's a big deal. The future's coming. And people who are wise are listening and asking for advice, and people who love them are saying, I just see, and I'm no prophet and I don't know the future, but I think that there may be some bad outcomes. It's sort of like, it's a little bit like an intervention where you say, I know the present's okay right now, but if I see repeated things happening with your relationships or your habits or your work, it seems like this is going to pay off in a bad way for you. Because a lot of us stay in our comfort zone, and you want to tell people sometimes you need to make some changes. Another one, when reality is not being faced, when there is some sort of push against reality. You know what I found is that people don't face reality when they really want something to be real that's not. Desire. Desire is a great thing. I mean, desire is a wonderful thing. It keeps us alive, keeps us motivated. But some people want that person, and they'll do anything to get that person. They'll give up their life, their integrity, their time, and they don't face the fact that, remember the old book, he's just not that into you, that somebody's just not into them. That's a reality they're not facing. Why? Because the desire is so great. Or because something in business is not working and they're putting time and money and energy and time and money and energy into it, and nothing's changing because what they don't want to do is to face it. This was a bad idea, and now I'm going to have to shut it down and change, and it's going to be painful, it's going to cost money. But when reality is not being faced, you got to help your friend and say, this is an important thing. So those are, I think, the key reasons to help and give advice. And, when you love somebody and you want their best and you want them to succeed and have a full and rich life, that's what it's for. Now, see that next section, it says how to do it right. I want to give some of the skills to be a good advice giver. I know that on Solutions, I tend to bag on the advice givers and the cheerleaders. I know I'm kind of bad about that. So if you're an advice giver and cheerleader, I'm now cheering you and advising you to watch the rest of this because I want to make things positive for you. There is a place for you cheerleaders and advice givers. There really is. First one is deal with your own advice imbalance. Now, what I mean by advice imbalance is that there's a time to listen, as you know, and there's also a time to say, can we talk about this? Can I be honest with you or frank with you, or can I be seriously with you or whatever. And there's the time to listen and time to say something. And we all have an imbalance. Nobody's 50-50 on the needle. Actually, I think probably it probably should be more on the 70-30 level. Probably it should be 70 listening and 30 speaking, because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and there's the ratio. But some of us are passive because we're afraid, and we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. We don't want to make them mad. We don't want to offend anybody. Or we've had a lot of bad advice too, so we think, I know how that felt. It felt yucky or controlling or mean, so I won't give it. So you're passive. That's one imbalance. And the other is when you become pushy. The 2 P's there, right? The passive and the pushy. And everybody is a little imbalanced. And when we get to the study question, I think that's one of the study questions, right? Is, which end are you on? And so I'm probably a little on the pushy end. I think maybe it's because I do so much leadership coaching and training and that sort of thing. And sometimes somebody will say, stop it, I don't need advice right now. And I'll say, gosh, thanks for telling me this is the time for you to reflect. So I understand that. But look at where you are on the continuum and start to work on it. Why are you doing that? Sometimes your advice imbalance, if you're passive, you've got to realize, I got to have courage. I have something to offer, and I love this person, and I care about them, and my fears of rejection are something I need to push through, right? If you're pushy, you need to look at, well, it's because I think I'm all that, or because I'm kind of a coach inside, or I love information, or I love challenge, but I really do run people away, and I bug them and I irritate them, right? I mean, if some people are bugged by your statements, no big deal. I mean, look at the Old Testament prophets. They had a lot of things to say, and they didn't win a lot of popularity contests. My experience, though, is we're not Old Testament prophets, and sometimes I feel like the pushy people, and I've already self-diagnosed here, so I can say this, kind of look at themselves in a righteous way, like, well, they got mad at me, and I gave them the truth, and so I'm an Old Testament prophet. Well, maybe you're just pushing, kind of a jerk. I mean, it's not. If everybody in your life is saying, stop teaching us and stop preaching at us and stop telling us what to do, listen to them, unless you live in a land where everybody's in denial, which is not, very likely. So listen to those people, and you got to bug a few, but most people will give you good feedback. Secondly, look at your equity. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to give you a technical psychobabble term. Your relational internalizations. That's equity. That's when you've paid the price for listening to someone, you've gone through deep waters with them, you've been there for them, they've been there for you, and equity is a great thing, because equity says, I've kind of earned the right to be heard with you. We've walked through your kids and your marriage, and we've walked through your spiritual issues and the church thing you went through, and we've walked through failures, we've walked through great celebrations, and earn it. If you don't know somebody very well, watch out for the advice. My wife and I were traveling recently, and I had I'm kind of a gadget person, and we were at a car rental place, and I couldn't get my phone to work right. And there was this gal at the table at the rental place who said, well, there's 3 reasons you've got a problem. And I had heard all 3, and I tried all 3, and they didn't work. And she goes, well, no, it's got to be one of those 3. And so we got in the car, we're driving off, and my wife goes, there's somebody that's kind of a know-it-all. And it was kind of like this. She had no relational equity with me, and it was sort of like she could have listened a little bit more. So get the equity, earn it. The other is, on your outline, it says mutual PTSF. And I've talked about this in an earlier solutions. PTSF is an acronym meaning permission to speak freely. Comes from the military. Do I have permission to speak freely? I think that the best thing you can do is to never assume that there's permission to speak freely. I think you need to state it. When I was writing a book on friendship back a while, and I noticed that friends need rules, and you need to talk about your relationship. And sometimes that feels weird, like, well, this is kind of not very natural and not very normal, and talking about us. And I kind of blew all that up and said, if you don't talk about us and structure the relationship, and at least talk about the covenant of what you want to be with each other and how you want to hang, you'll never really know that person at a very deep level. And one of the things I talked about was the PTSF, is that you probably would do well in your deepest relationships and your most important relationships to say something like, look, I mean, you're sitting here having your salad at, a restaurant. And so you're the weird one, right? You're the one who wants more depth, and that's okay, be weird. And say, because I've done this, and it works out well, is say, I want to talk about our relationship a bit. And then they get freaked out a little bit, and they'll say, well, what's wrong? Did I make you mad? Or is there a crisis going on? He said, no, we have a great time. We have a great time talking about, we have great chemistry with each other, and we got the same values, and we like the same struggles, and our marriages are similar or whatever. And it's because I get along with you so well, and you're such a safe person, that I've been thinking, do you really feel permission to speak freely with me? Oh, sure. Well, wait a minute. I want to let you know, just in case, just to make sure it's official, that if you ever see anything in my life that's going upside down, an attitude or a behavior or a pattern or something I'm doing in relationships or in my finances or business or whatever, I need you to tell me something, and I won't always think about it. Don't wait. Here's what I'm trying to say, Sally. Don't wait for me to ask. If you see something, mention it to me, because I may not even know I've got a problem. And do you feel that? And most of the time they'll say, oh, sure, I feel that. My experience is you've got to bring it up 2 or 3 times before they really believe it, because it might be, did you just go to a seminar on relationships or whatever? So say it. And then say to them, now, I'm not asking for this to be 2 ways. If you don't want advice from me when I see a problem, that's fine. I need this from you. Most of the time, if they're a good, normal person, they'll go, well, yeah, me too. I really need that. And seriously, after 2 or 3 iterations over this, over 2 or 3 months, you'll find that people's insides feel deeper and they feel more connected, and good things happen. And then finally, you're having lunch, and Sally says, by the way, I thought you were way too hard on your kid when I saw you guys at the game, and I'm really scared because I think you're not like me, but we had this covenant. And you say, gosh, thank you. I was in such a bad mood. I apologize to him later. Thank you very much. That's when things get great. And then, how to know when to give it when it's not wanted? You know what? Sometimes you have to. And that's when you see you're looking at a crisis. Don't be that person that says, well, let them make their own choices. Don't walk away. If you see, they're getting ready to have a kid that's in serious trouble, if the marriage is going to break up, if the person is going to lose all their money, if they're getting ready to move when they shouldn't move, to say, can I talk to you about this? And if they say, no, you can't, well, you can't. Unless it's a life or death situation. If you watch the intervention shows, sometimes you have to trap people, but if it's less intense than that, less serious than that, and they say, I don't want to hear anything you have to say, then you say, okay, let me know when you would. But you push it and say, I just have something to tell you, and I love you, and I'm concerned, and are you sure it's not okay for me to say it? A small percentage of people will say no, and either it's because they have a real serious character problem, or because they're so bugged at you, or you guys are alienated, but still push it. Don't worry about pushing things. Ultimately, unless it's life or death, you will have to say, okay, but I'd like to tell you something one day, and I care about you. But don't be afraid to ask the question. Okay, and here's the questions for you for your own growth and further reflection on all this. Number 1, which end of the advice imbalance are you on, and where did that tendency come from? Did you come around advisors, or were you the kid when you were a child who always had to have the right answers because mom and dad needed to be perfect? Is that where you learned this, or figure out the roots, because it's good to do that. Secondly, name one current relationship in which you are in conflict about advice, and what is your concern? Why is it that you don't know if you should say something to this person or not? Are you afraid? Are they very important to you? Are you scared? Don't want to hurt their feelings? Figure that out, because all of us probably have one person, at least. And then which skill will help you move forward? Is it the advice imbalance issue? Is it the equity issue? Is it the mutual PTSF? Is it because you don't know if it's going to be wanted and what to do? So those are the skills, and really, guys, the world is a better place when we have lots of grace and lots of truth with each other. Don't ever give up on both. God constructed the universe to run that way, and you can't lose when you have both. So here's to, finally, you advice givers finally got something good here. So God bless you. See you next week.
For more Solutions recordings or other personal and spiritual growth products by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend, visit our website at cloudtownsend.com or call 800-676-HOPE.